Ahoy there, and welcome to our 50th episode of DohMance Dawn, counting only the numbered episodes and not the SBS specials. I'm Luke, he, him, sometimes they, them, and I love undercutting my points. I'm joined by my wonderful, beautiful, and talented co-host, Janine.
I try to be several of those. Hi, I'm Janine Juliet. My pronouns are she, they. I'll one day have a third thing to say, but today is not that day, because the day belongs to number 50.
Your 49th episode.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
okay. It'll be 50 next time for me. Let's still celebrate it for you, I guess.
Yeah, I'm don't worry, we'll have plenty to celebrate, Janine. It's not like I've been promising retribution to you, my co-host, who is
A person who's very turned on by middle-aged women. Wow, you are excited for this. Let's start off with the Simpsons episodes first before we get there, though.
Well, actually, I had a mint that has been called out on the Discord, and I don't believe I remembered it last week, which was I apparently said a few times that Oda took a year off, and apparently he just took 2 weeks off, though he is currently taking about an entire month off from the manga after the passing of Akira Toriyama. RIP, Morning Till I Join You, one of the legitimate greats, but also a great warning sign because the fact that most mangaka only have a life expectancy of 64 years, that's fucking bleak, dog.
Yeah, that something's got to change there. But
Yeah.
whew, let's not get too sad about that. I already cried about Goku.
He'll defeat God soon enough. And then he'll have to make a new higher level of God. I have not really followed Dragon Ball Z since Super started, and I just have a baseline idea through cultural osmosis on what's going on there. I might do that now because I hear the lesbians are enjoying it. So,
Maybe that's
speaking of
where I should
lesbians
go.
enjoying things, these episodes ran back between May 6th and June 3rd of the year 2007. Simpsons episodes included Crook and Ladder, where Homer takes sleeping aids and shenanigans lead to Homer taking out the entire fire department, so Moe, Skinner, Apu, and Homer become firemen. After saving Burns from a fire and getting nothing in return, they decide to start taking fire damaged things or lying about them being fire damaged. Skinner starts to feel guilty, and eventually the family sees Homer looting, and they are disappointed in him. So Homer decides to do the right thing, and in the end, they donate the stolen items to the homeless. It's fine. It had some decent bits.
Watching it, I can't help but think about the volunteer fireman episode of King of the Hill and
Oh
how
yeah.
that one kind of felt like it was better.
Oh yeah. No, I mean that's an all-time classic one. The bits where they do a Rashomon. I
Yeah,
love a Rashomon.
I don't have really much anything to say after that. I mean, it makes me want to watch an episode of another series that I don't know, kind of I had a better time like in the same kind of role. Also, what the hell with Homer just like picking up jobs and then just like leaving? I know it's a big joke that like he really phones it in at the nuclear power plant, but still, like, couldn't you find anything fun for him to do at the work that he has established over there?
They sometimes do that, but yeah, it's a problem. The next episode was Stop or My Dog Will Shoot, where Santa's little helper saves Homer from a corn maze and ends up becoming a police dog. Santa's little helper arrests Snake for selling steroids, but Snake gets off on a technicality which angers Santa's little helper. At home, he bites Bart, so he goes to live with Lou instead. But when Bart's replacement pet strangles the snake, it gets loose in the school and causes a chemical spill. Santa's little helper rushes in to save Bart, and they reconnect. And then groundskeeper Willie adopts Strangles. A cab includes Santa's little helper.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of cops don't get enough credit for what they do. You should go and look up the cops and 30% yada yada yada. A cab, all cops are awful. There is a lack of judicial oversight. This episode really didn't have much to say beyond, I guess, kind of being apologetic for police domestic abuse situations.
Yeah, like seriously. The fucking I mean it makes sense for police being so easy to hand wave that kind of shit, but like
Mhm.
to like throw that to the audience and just have it accepted is just so bitter. And bro, I wanted to see more of Strangles, to be honest,
Mhm.
because I was just so over Santa's little helper. I was just thinking to myself, could we just keep the snake? This kind of fits Bart's personality a little bit.
Mhm.
Uh,
Or they could have done something with the dichotomy of, oh, what is Bart's new pet? A snake. What is the criminal who Santa's little helper hates? Jailbird snake? Like, there's something there. It's ultimately forgettable beyond ACAB, ACAB, ACAB. And speaking of a lack of judicial oversight, we then have 24 minutes, which, in a 24 style parody, the bully trio of Dolph, Jimbo, and Carney stumble onto a dangerously expired cup of yogurt that they plan to use in a stink bomb that they will release at the school bake sale. Skinner and Lisa, using their new monitoring devices, catch wind but have to send in Bart to stop the bullies, unaware that Martin Prince is working with the bullies to help save his ant farm and is preventing Skinner and Lisa from finding out what's going on. Meanwhile, Marge forgot about needing to bake a cake for the bake sale and has ended up producing a incredibly inedible cake. Bart ends up tied up by the bullies along with groundskeeper Willie, and Lisa has to try and flood the room to stop the bomb from going off. Marge sees Bart trapped in the room because weirdly they just needed a way to have a window connecting this random room to the gymnasium. So Marge uses her cake to break it, and then Lisa is able to deactivate the stink bomb, and then Jack Bauer arrested Bart for making a prank called him earlier in the episode. Remember how they used torture in this episode?
yeah,
Teen torture.
I as a parody, I think it's spot on.
Oh yeah, like it gets the bits down. It is respectful to the material, but oh holy shit, is the material bad, because that helped to solidify a lot of ideas about, oh yeah, no, torture always gets people to tell the absolute truth and not just whatever they think they can say to get out of interrogation. Yeah, it's a great stylistic parody, fun episode, just horrible concerns and questions that are not addressed at all,
You
especially
kind of
for
have
Lisa.
Yeah, like you kind of have to really stretch it to the point where the canon is like as stretchy as it would be inside of a treehouse of horror, you know?
Hmm. Yeah, it's fun, and I appreciate that they stuck the landing on it at least, which, like, if nothing else, all of these episodes feel like they have an end point, except for the last one. You Can't Always Say What You Want, which is the 400th episode of The Simpsons. We previously covered episode 300, Barding Over, in episode 23 of our podcast, The Antithesis of Millhouse. Janine, we're getting closer, my friend.
Yeah.
It's wild.
400 episodes of The Simpsons, and
Mhm.
I've watched basically all of them.
Yeah. Homer accidentally causes Kent Brockman to swear on live TV by spilling coffee on his lap, and nobody cares initially, but then Flanders sees it and complains, which results in Kent getting demoted to being the weatherman, and the station has a huge fine levied against it, causing them to make cutbacks, and Kent loses his job, so Marge invites him to move in. Kent reveals that Fox uses the Fox network to funnel the fine money that they get paid to the Republican Party. So Lisa helps Kent make an online video, which spreads quickly. And so the Republicans offer Kent his job back with more money, and he accepts, which disappoints Lisa. And then Homer tries to reveal another secret that he heard from Kent, but the show censors it. And what a disappointing fuck you of an ending.
Yeah, I mean, we're not led to believe that Kent was a good person in
No.
previous situations where we've seen Kent, but I I mean, showing integrity for a little bit and then completely going back to how the destructive and terrible ways that you were kind of seems like a big point in The Simpsons. Like, we've seen Burns go through it, and that episode kind of like was a little bit better because you
Mm-hmm.
didn't really have that belief that Burns would, you know, hold any water for like any longer than his bony fingers could be able to muster after two steps. I don't know what
Mm-hmm.
the fuck that metaphor was, but you know what I mean.
Listeners, if you know what Janine means, send in a letter to P.O. Box 900, San Jose, California. We won't get it, but support the United States Postal Service. Yeah, that last one, it just kind of fails the ending. It tries to do an inversion, and it's like, well, no, there's just nothing satisfying about it. New characters that we have now unlocked include Fireman Homer, Frankenberry, Clippy, Phobos the Ant, Ludacris, Pacifier Hobos, the Napian Bird, Wax Yoko Oh No, Mo Sislak Villain, Sad Hula Girl, Officer Jaws, Math Book, and Rudy Giuliani, amongst many others.
It's just amazing to be able to say a lot of those names.
Mm-hmm.
Every single time, it getting a new batch of characters we could be able to use. There are always some, you know, that you'll just remind you of just one-off jokes inside of the episode, sure. But then there's others that'll just like throw it to you, like, oh, I completely forgot about Ludacris
Mm-hmm.
and Rudy Giuliani.
Mm-hmm.
He did a graduation speech for the fucking dogs, police dogs, for like a 20-second bit,
Oh,
and it
and
probably
that
was the best bit in the thing.
I mean, that also had a police dolphin as part of the graduating class, but also that bit was initially not aired when the episode first premiered because Rudy Giuliani was actively running for president at the time. And
Whoa,
so it has only been added back in syndication.
that's wild.
Yeah. But now we have to discuss slash summarize episodes 308 through 312 of One Piece. These episodes include Wait for Luffy, Fight to the Death, On the Bridge of Hesitation.
Feelings put into fists. Luffy's full power, Gatling.
A friend approaches from the sea, the Straw Hat Crew's strongest bonds.
Everybody escapes the path to victory for the pirates.
Thank you, Mary. The sea of separation in the snow. And see, now I feel like Janine is going to be waiting for me to drop that song that I have put together carefully. And it's just like, oh, well, this song can theoretically come in anywhere. I considered putting it at the front of the show, like over the credits, but oh, oh, my wild, wild heart. So, if you randomly jumped on episode 50, this has been a whirlwind of like 15 minutes so far, hasn't it? I feel like we're both high charged. I'm on a single coffee, and Janine, you're up kind of early.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't smoked as much weed as I normally do at this hour. That's practically the same thing.
So, back in Gear 2, Luffy is landing blows on Rob Lucci as Rob Lucci pushes himself further. Outside, the Marines have destroyed half of the Bridge of Hesitation, locking Luffy and Lucci during their fight as the ships also work to surround the Straw Hat Pirates so they can recapture Nico Robin. The crew lets Luffy know that they're fine and they're ready for him once he's done. That way he can focus on the fight. The Marines send in 200 captains and commanders to fight the pirates, and while they're holding their own, Chimney, Gonbei, and Granny Kokoro pretend to be hostages. Back in the fight, Rob Lucci lands a blow on Luffy, knocking him out, and in shock, Soge King reveals that he can make himself look just like Usopp. Usopp admits that he came to save Robin and challenges Rob Lucci because Luffy apparently can't defeat him. So Usopp tells Luffy he has to get back up and fight because the adventure can't end here, and that inspires Luffy to get back up and start fighting. Robin and Nami, meanwhile, return to fight on the bridge with the others, and Chopper feels bad because he's unable to move and help out. Sandy, meanwhile, has returned to the base to take care of something, and outside, Shu, one of the commanders, uses the power of the Rust fruit to destroy the Yubashiri sword, and then also starts rusting Zoro's limbs until Usopp saves him. Rob Lucci, meanwhile, uses his tail to catch Luffy and fires a point-blank blast into his body, leaving Luffy staggered until he forces himself back up and releases a jet Gatling that rains blows on Rob Lucci until he breaks through another wall. Luffy collapses, and the Marines call in that Rob Lucci has been defeated, and Luffy declares that they are all going back together. The Marines, meanwhile, are left shocked by the defeat. Like, it doesn't have as much of a single hit knockout like some of the other battles, but damn, it feels good.
It really ooh, I've seen some guys get beat up before by Luffy, but this particular one feeling like it was, I mean, it did feel like Robin was finally a part of the group now.
Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, over the radio, the Frankie family, the Galley Law members, and the others who were presumed dead cheer on the victory because Polly was able to cast nets that allowed them to hang over the edge of the cliff, making them only look like they had died. They tell the Straw Hats that they have an escape plan, that way they won't need to be rescued by the pirates. You thought they were going to die.
I I mean, I was already accepting their death as a thing that One Piece does now, where they kill innocent people a lot more than, you know, the killers.
Mm-hmm. The Marines notice that Luffy isn't moving, and Usopp calls on Luffy to get up. Meanwhile, the Marines are firing on the escape ship where Kokoro, Granny, Chimney, and Gonbei and Chopper were, but luckily Sanji rescued all of them from the ship. The Marines destroy the escape ship and the rest of the bridge, trapping the pirates on a single column in the water. and the other ships are now all aimed at Luffy. Everyone calls on Luffy to move and do something, and then Usopp and Luffy hear a voice calling out to them. Usopp starts crying, calls on the Straw Hats to jump into the sea, and for Robin to toss Luffy into it as well, and he promises they have one more friend. The Straw Hats and the train trio jump into the water, where the Going Merry has appeared without anyone on it, and the crew assumes their positions and work on getting out. You see this coming, Janine?
To be honest, there was a bit of a fake out for me,
Mm.
because the faint voice that they start to hear sounds kind of like a whale. So I was like, "Oh, is this gonna be Laboon?" And then like Chopper's like, "Hey, someone's telling us to jump in the sea." And like, "Oh, I'll believe Chopper. He can be able to speak with the animals." And then fucking like Usopp and Luffy began to hear it, and I was like, "Oh wait, no, they don't speak to animals."
Grandpa Ryu is back. He's canon now, Janine.
I mean, I'd accept that. I did enjoy that story.
So Spandam orders them to fire on the Going Merry, even though Nika Robin is on the ship. And as the Merry is surrounded, the cannons start firing at each other and running into each other because the gates of justice have started to close because Sanji closed the gates while everyone else was fighting. Which is just a great, oh, yeah, no, Sanji, you had a really good idea. Good job. At, at first, my mind went to, oh, the ships see how much these pirates love their ship, and it won't fire on them. But no, Sanji did a good thing. So Nami pilots the ship through the sea while the Straw Hats work on holding off the attacks. Luffy wants to join in, but he is just too tired. So Spandam orders one last all-out assault. So Zoro and Sanji use Luffy's rubber body to fire back the cannons and escape, but not before Robin breaks Spandam's spine. The Going Merry gets stuck in a whirlpool, so Frankie uses a coup de vent and sends the ship flying into the sky, while Usopp fires off a smoke screen to cover their escape. At the front gate, the Puffing Tom takes off with the other survivors back to Water 7. Aokiji shows up and cancels the Buster Call because the Marines have been thoroughly defeated. And as they sail, Luffy gets placed up on his seat on the figurehead of the ship. And then Luffy and Chopper try and look for Usopp because Soge King is back. It is weird how you never see them at the same time, Janine.
It it's a mystery that'll never be solved, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. So the crew tries to figure out what happened to them, but Luffy is certain that it was the Going Merry because the Merry and the crew just loved each other so much and it came to save them one last time. And as they're sailing, they find a Galley La company ship with Iceberg on board. And that's when the Merry starts splitting apart, just like they were warned. It only had one last ride in it. And Luffy begs the shipwrights to help, but Iceberg tells Luffy he can't do anything anymore. He already tried to fix it as much as he could during the Aqua Laguna. The Going Merry told him that it wanted to sail one last time, so he just put everything he could in to give it that one last ride. And once he got done, a massive wave swept the Merry out to sea so it could save its friends one last time. And Iceberg and the other builders went with him to see what had happened to this ship that the crew loved so much. And Luffy finally comes to terms with the Merry dying and gives the ship a Viking funeral, and Usopp isn't there to say goodbye. And as the flames consume the ship, Luffy thanks it for carrying them. Snow begins to fall, and the crew remembers their journeys on it, and the Merry apologizes that it can't carry them anymore. And Luffy apologizes because they didn't take good enough care of the ship, but she thanks them for always treating her with love, and she was happy to spend time with them.
Listen, we all say things sometimes. Sometimes we get frustrated, and in a moment we just call for death, and death shows up, and death doesn't care who he takes. He just takes, and then he takes, and then he keeps on fucking taking this batch of episodes. What the hell? I think there is one that might be overdue. People should die in One Piece. And it has to hurt now. Like, it can't be like a simple in your sleep thing. It's gotta be screaming. But Mary gets to live. I hate Mary so much. This show doesn't know how to kill people. Why does that guy get to live? Like, wow, we were killing so many people in the last arc. Why is nobody dead now? Mary should have died. I want the Mary to die. I hope Mary's dead. That's Mary before the horns came in. I hope Mary's dead. Listen, I didn't sail on this ship. I haven't had these adventures. I haven't slept inside of it. I have no attachment for it. I'm fine if they get a new one, dog.
Oh. Got him.
Oh, everything that we put into this for 50 episodes plus SBS has been 100% worth it for that moment, because I believe that song can be able to transcend this podcast.
Oh. Yeah, Janine.
Yeah?
You know how you want death to be meaningful and painful, and you don't care about this ship?
Yeah.
Get ready to get fucking wrecked in the next batches of episodes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm going full adversarial now on your calls for death, because I mean, I got tears in my eyes from reading about Mary's death. And I've experienced that before. I think that ship that loves them so much, that they love so much, is beautiful and wonderful. And I'm sad that they now have no ship. And yeah. But we got some real deaths coming up, and dog, you're going to be feeling heartache by the numbers.
Oh no.
Mm-hmm.
The death of the going Mary signifies a darkness that will come and overtake One Piece.
Oh yeah, it's going to be an incredibly powerful darkness that will just destroy you like a black hole.
Holy shit. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, any other thoughts on this batch of episodes?
One Piece will break your heart.
Mm-hmm. And I will do a bunch of work for a bit. Oh, thank God that I realized that I could just use the transcriptions for the episode and look for every time that you mentioned Mary and wanting Mary to die. That was also, importantly, not all of the times that you wished for Mary to die, but I figured it was long enough to get the point across.
It was everything it needed to be.
Thank you. All right. Well, we have 4 characters to match, and then the episode 50 celebratorial recasting opportunity. So, are you ready, Janine?
Yes.
All right. So, I already sent you a link to my casting sheet. We have 4 characters this time. Up first is Glove, who kind of has metal braces on his face and boxing gloves on his hands. Dear Strong Bad, how do you type with boxing gloves on? He also kind of looks like MF Doom if MF Doom was a white Jewish guy.
That's a very specific kind of call, but also one that I would see.
Yeah, I'll need to mention that for our guest next week. So I have four picks for this. My Rodrigo style was the Cyborg Santa's Little Helper. I also decided to start adding in a throwback category when I can of characters who we have mentioned in our episodes that we have not cast yet because there's like over 400 of them so far. And that is George Foreman. And then the other two suggestions I had were Boxcar Bob, one of the hobos that Homer fights in the Homer They Fall, and Leon Spinks, who fought She Hulk in a comic book. Just trying to go with that boxing theme. Janine, who do you have?
Well, you'll be glad to know that I also chose Boxcar Bob,
Mm-hmm.
but I had a different one for my Rodrigo style. I
Mm-hmm.
choose the Horn Stuffer.
That horn really did not have enough plenty.
More plenty. That's what we need.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I feel like Boxcar Bob kind of has the right energy.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna find anybody else that's gonna have the same energy of one starness as a Boxcar Bob.
Mm-hmm. We then have Very Good, whose name is a pun on very good because he can turn into balls.
um,
Who you got?
I'm starting off by saying that this guy would be a great cereal mascot. So I only used cereal mascots.
Uh huh.
I got Toucan Sam
Mm-hmm.
from Oven War,
Mm-hmm.
and then from Rodrigo style, we just got access to Frankenberry. So that's who I
Hell
got.
yeah. Hell yeah, my friend. Frankenberry was also my Rodrigo style. The other episodes, or the other suggestions that I had, my throwback was the Big Bopper. And then I also had the guy who suggests going to Knott's Berry Farm on the OC parody that they had.
Hmm.
But I feel like Frankenberry, yeah, I feel like Frankenberry is the pick. Like we are very in sync, and we want to save our bird mascots for later. Said Luke, thinking, well, it could help to save the Frankenstein cereal mascot, but no, I like Frankenberry good. Up next, we have Shu, the guy who destroys one of Zora's swords. And guess what, Janine?
What's up?
We gotta pour one out for that sword. It is dead. Zoro can no longer do three sword style. He only has two swords, Janine. He only has two swords.
Hmm. This
And
really leads me to kind of think about what would happen next. For somebody who's obsessed with it, he would either A, get a shit sword and try to work with that, B, find a way to repair that sword, or C, find a different sword. And
hmm.
just because of how Zoro's built, all three of them are equally likely.
Yep, especially with the need for filler. So I had three suggestions. My Rodrigo style was Ludacrest, but not ludicrous. I even though like toothpaste prevents your teeth from decaying, I just liked the idea of Ludacrest using toothpaste to rust things into nothing.
Right.
My throwback was Goofy, like Gwarsh. I know how to fuck Max. And then the other suggestion that I had was Rusty, who was one of the perverts from just Simpsons crowd scenes. Who do you have, Janine?
Well, I have Rusty the Clown.
Hmm.
Basically, kind of a crusty knock
Not. Mm-hmm.
that we've seen. as a toy, I think, only, but still kind of like shows you the thing. Uh, and then I did like the Ludicrous bit, but I went with Tooth Decay because of the whole like decaying matter powers. I thought that was
Mhm.
like a better fit.
Yeah, my other thing was that they just aren't really big and memorable designs.
I mean, neither is Shu, if I'm going to be honest.
He's vaguely Middle Eastern. You know what? I'm willing to give you the point for Tooth Decay. It's more appropriate, and we can use Ludacris later.
Wow, that. Whew, I don't know why that set off a little bit of anxiety. Is there a tooth fruit?
Teeth, 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 molars, bicuspids, teeth, teeth, molars, bicuspids, teeth, teeth.
You're having way too much fun.
Yeah.
Who do we have next?
Up next, we have Shoringaru, who, in the manga, he has powers, but they just cut out his powers in the anime because there wasn't enough of a scene. His powers is to turn himself into wheels.
Wow, I'm glad
Yeah.
they didn't animate that.
Yeah, Frankie takes him out specifically. Who do you have for Sharingaru?
I have Dr. H. Boyle. Uh, just facial likeness is what I kind of saw there. And for my Rodrigo style, I went with Rudy Giuliani.
Rudy Giuliani. Okay, yeah, I had to look up Dr. H. Boyle. For some reason, my brain was like, he's a dentist, right? And no, he's not a dentist. My Rodrigo style was Jack Bauer. Because, we'll probably forget about using him, but he seems like a decent fit for a weird guy who we can kind of just throw off. My throwback was Gary Busey. I feel like Sharingaru has a very Gary Busey energy to him.
Well, the image that you have used for him, have provided for him
Mhm.
for our purposes, he does have a very Busey face. He's very Busey
Uh,
in the face.
wop, wop, wop. That's some wet ass Busey. Macaroni in the pot. That's some wet ass Busey. We can't let the title of this episode be wet ass Busey. And then the other pick that I had was Rasputin, the wrestler, who I think I was just trying to look for someone else. And what's this?
Pere, 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 pere. Pere, 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 pere.
We got in some reader/listener suggestions. Reverse Eye Patch suggested Kodos Bill Clinton because he's twirling towards freedom. And King Atticus suggested Gareth Prince, the father of Martin Prince, because he's, quote, wheeling and dealing those stocks. And he would probably use a sword if he had one. I feel like he's not nerdy enough for a Gareth Prince. I do like Reverse Eye Patch's suggestion of Kodos Bill Clinton because there is a Clintonian energy, again, in this man. And also, we are all kind of better off writing him off to be far less significant than he is, considering the large legacy of harm that he dealt specifically to poor and African American communities. Get out of that, Slick Willie.
I'm going to motion towards Rudy Giuliani right now. In a just wanting to get him off my hands as quickly as possible.
We will have better opportunities for someone as shitty as Rudy Giuliani.
That kind of gave me the opposite thing. What's the opposite of the dread of the oncoming?
You're horny for a train.
I mean, what kind of train are we talking about?
Like a choo choo. Like a dangerously unregulated choo choo.
Oh, okay, maybe not. But
Yeah.
okay, hope. That's what it is. It gives me
Oh, okay.
hope.
Okay.
Sorry,
Yeah, I
that's
guess
new. So
horny
yeah,
for train is in the middle of
horny for
dread
train as the
and
band
hope.
that did Drops of Jupiter.
Tell me, did the wind sweep you off your feet? Did Rudy Johnny help you complete your round of masturbating?
Rudy Giuliani until completion.
Fuck.
Whew. We're just riffing now. We're just finding
Yeah.
new episode titles now.
Huh?
I'll give it a Busey.
All right. Hey, that means that we each got the same number of picks this week. We each got a split pick, and then, or we each got two split picks and then a singular one, which is pretty good.
Yeah, especially because we had one split pick that was both the character that was previously on The Simpsons and a split pick that was a Rodrigo style.
Mm-hmm. I enjoy doing this podcast with you, my friend.
Me too. Let's do like 50 more at least.
Okay, I mean, that will get us pretty far, I guess. So because this is our 50th episode, I also wanted to reopen the gates to bring up some recasting opportunities. Now, I know mine and I know the fans' ones, but I'm more interested to see who do you want to see about recasting?
There was only one that really stood out to me, and that is
Hmm.
our Sanji, Jimbo Jones.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd want to go for something that big because I feel more and more now closer to Sanji being Fox Mulder.
Interesting. Yeah, that's I need more. You got to sell me on this.
On this specifically,
Yeah, like give me your reasoning because I mean, he does not fit in anywhere into the Sanji trifecta that I premiered in the Sanji problem. He is not. I guess he might be. No, he's not really horny. He is also not 18 and he is also not a cook.
I feel like limiting Sanji to those things is, despite him being strongly those things,
Uh-huh.
limits him from being anything else because as much as he is those things in
Mhm.
those specific moments, he isn't in those situations very often. So he's got to be a competent person who has a plan sometimes.
I mean, didn't Jimbo in 24 minutes help and lead a competent plan to release a bomb in the school?
More than any,
Also,
I don't know, because I still consider that 24 minutes very nebulous canon.
all Simpsons canon is nebulous, and the more that they try and say what is and is not canon makes it worse. I'm I'm not seeing like why Fox Mulder, even beyond just him falling outside of the horny teen cook.
I mean, if you're not up to it, we can talk about it again in 50 episodes.
I mean, yeah, like Mulder is a conspiracy theorist who works with the government. So I think that's unfortunately a nope from me, dog.
So who do you have?
My suggestion is unsurprisingly Gavin's mom for Axe Hand Morgan.
I think this is one that we've talked about,
Mm-hmm.
and there
The
has,
fans are horny for it.
yeah, that's one of the reasons why.
Also, it brings us back Chief Wiggum.
Which, huh? I mean, using him so early on was kind of like the first regret, you know?
Yeah, it's haunted, and also the listeners wanted to recast Gavin as Helmeppo on the Discord.
Huh.
So you get that parent-child relationship. You get Helmeppo, whose main traits are he is a spoiled jerk with a parent who is various levels of bad, but then you also get the ability to kind of say, hey, here's us kind of going back and also opening the doors for being less gender restrictive for characters by using Axe Hand Morgan.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Going
And
back in time and doing that will completely shift everything that we have going up on to the future.
yeah, we can get more sexy ladies in. The ladies, the ladies. And I mean, I think that's really good for you.
A person who's very turned on by middle-aged women. Oh my god. See, when I said that, what I did was I painted a fucking target on me.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you've taken a lot of liberties with it. Um,
Well,
yeah,
I
I'm
know.
down. I'm down with both of them.
All right. So at some point, I will get a redo of the episode one cover. Mm, not that Luffy, the one at the bottom. But yeah, we've done 50 episodes of this podcast, my friend.
It still blows my mind. Like I, you can tell if you want go back and listen to the first episode that I was not very confident that there was going to be an episode two. But by the end of that episode, I wanted so much to move heaven and earth so there would be an episode two. And
Hmm.
now we're at 50, and I mean, I feel like more than anything, like this, even beyond just being a fucking podcast where we do a silly thing, it does feel like a living record of our friendship together.
Hmm. We have become better friends in doing this podcast in a kind of amazing way. Like, we talk pretty frequently to each other before and after the shows. And yeah, Uh, I feel like I would be in a much worse place if we were not doing this podcast together.
Me too.
Hell yeah, my friend. Hell yeah. All right. Well, I would like to give some shout outs that I haven't done in a while. First off, shout out to Bo Quiano, who you can go and find online. They did the logo for the podcast, and theoretically, I should have gotten this ready. But I believe most of the places online you can find them at Hot Spring Summer, and that logo is really great. Also, shout out to our first cover artist, Colt Hoskins, who I do not know if he has a Twitter anymore because everyone's getting rid of that, and he was never on social media all that often. But he did the first batch of covers, and we would have not, I think, been as successful without those covers. So shout out to him. Shout out to Mike Patton, our current cover artist, who you can find on Twitter at or you can find most places at Patton Pending. That's PattenPending. I'm excited to see what cover you're going to do for this episode because I gave you a few suggestions and is going to be wild. And Janine, where can you be found online?
You can be able to find me on Twitter for some reason. It's Janine Juliet. Also on Blue Sky, JanineJuliet.bisky.social. I have been found through this podcast on Instagram. So I probably should mention that. That is Janine is Dope on Instagram. I recently decided I like the way I look, so you're probably going to get more selfies there.
Hell yeah, my friend. And you can find me most places at Koltreg. That's KOLTREG. I'm also really bad at Instagram. I mostly use that when my wife sends me messages or when I run into people who are like, hey, I want to see the work that you do. And I'm just like, oh, you can find it. My Instagram is at QSANDTANCIRS, Q's and Tansers, which is a deep cut reference to Exiled, the Marvel alternate universe actual play podcast that I used to do. So you can find me there because I got blocked out of Coltreg on Instagram and Luke Here It Is. So yeah, we are going to be back in 2 weeks. We should have a guest, assuming that nothing goes horribly wrong. And yeah, our guest is going to come in on mourning a ship that they've never seen as it burns. And now let's let that hot, hot summer jam take us out.
Listen, we all say things. Sometimes we get frustrated, and in a moment we just call for death, and death shows up, and death doesn't care who he takes. He just takes, and then he takes, and then he keeps on fucking taking this batch of episodes. What the hell? Oh.
What the hell?
I think there is one that might be overdue. People should die in One Piece. And it has to hurt now. Like, it can't be like a simple in your sleep thing. It's got to be screaming. But Mary gets to live. I hate Mary so much. Oh. This show doesn't know how to kill people. Why does that guy get to live? Like, wow, we were killing so many people in the last arc. Why is nobody dead now? Mary should have died. I want the Mary to die. I hope Mary's dead. That's Mary before the horns came in. I hope Mary's dead. Listen, I didn't sail on this ship. I haven't had these adventures. I haven't slept inside of it. I have no attachment for it. I'm fine if they get a new one, dog.
Peace.